Welcome to Sip, Sell, Repeat, the real estate podcast for women who know success is best served with a great cup of coffee or a well-earned glass of wine. I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant, your go-to real estate expert, here to help you navigate the market with strategy, style, and a little bit of fun. Whether you're flipping your first property, scaling your portfolio, or just dreaming about your next big move, this is the place for you. So grab your drink of choice, settle in, and let's sip, sell, and repeat our way to success. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to Sip, Sell, Repeat in Real Estate. My name is Dr. Cynthia Tant, and I have the great pleasure of talking with Holly McDonald today. And Holly from California. We're on two different ends of the world here, two different beaches. Tell us a little bit about yourself to get started, and then we'll roll into some questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So, yes, you are right. I am in California. I'm in Orange County to be exact, and specifically have been doing residential real estate for about 15 years now in a city called Costa Mesa, which is wedged in between Newport Beach and Huntington Beach. And I got my start in TV production doing real estate shows. And from there, fell more in love with real estate and decided I wanted to be on the front lines, actually helping people buy and sell homes. So that's how I got into the industry.
Wow, that's it. TV production? Were you on the TV on the screen itself, or were you behind the scenes, or
I
both?
was, mostly behind the scenes. I did have a little bit of experience on camera because if you heard of a show called House Hunters on Home and Garden Television,
Oh, yeah.
I did a lot of production for that. And then when I ended up buying a house, I got to be on the show as both the home buyer and the realtor. So I got to play both roles and it was a lot of fun. But primarily I was behind the scenes.
That's exciting. Right now with technology, everybody can be on TV and everybody can do stuff right now. And so some of the things I know that you said, right now, our real estate market is crazy. Here we are in what, almost May of 2025. I don't even know what happened to the first part of the year. What are you seeing out there that you want to be able to help your clients? And what I mean in California, because as we know, and I'm sure real estate is location and location, and this beautiful house behind me is half the price in Pensacola as it would be in California. But what are you seeing in your real estate market, and who's maybe driving the buyer there? For obviously,
Yeah.
you could say the beach and stuff, but what are you seeing in your real estate market right now out in California, in your area?
Yeah. So in my specific area, pricing has been a challenge for a lot of people. Like you just said it yourself, a home here could be what, 5, 10 times the price that it would be in other parts of the country, maybe even more. And sure, people will say that maybe the salaries are higher here or whatnot. But the fact of the matter is everything is more expensive. It's more costly. The homes are more costly. Your cost of living is more costly. So for a lot of the younger folks that are trying to get into the market, it's really hard to scrape together that down payment. So a lot of what's driving the market is people that are able to either get help to get that down payment so that their monthly payment is not something crazy. And also people that are in good solid jobs and have those savings and are able to use that to get into their first home. And people have to realize, I'm sure this is the same in your market, but they have to realize their first home is probably not going to be their dream home. It's just an opportunity to move themselves forward as they work their way through life.
Do you see a lot of first time home buyers in your market, or do you see more like a baby boomer or second market person or someone like that coming in to your area?
No, I see a lot of first time buyers because,
Wow.
and it's funny, this is how it worked for me. So maybe this is what I attract, but I moved to Los Angeles and Los Angeles is a really fun place, but expensive when you're coming from another market. And Los Angeles attracts a lot of people from other markets.
Okay.
Being as it's so expensive and may not be everybody's cup of tea, I ended up gravitating down to Orange County, which felt more like it could be my forever home. And as a positive, it was also a little bit more affordable, or you could get a little bit more for your money. We have people that have grown up here and stay here because it's a sprawling suburb, and that tends to be the case for a lot of people. Kids move back home because it's what they know. And then also you get that overflow from people that either went to LA or San Diego, or we even get people from like the San Francisco market too that move here
Yeah.
because it's still in the same area and it gives you a lot of opportunity, but at a fraction, a small fraction of the cost of some of these other cities. You can get a little bit more for your money in a lot of cases.
Okay. So the pricing aspect that your sellers and that you are working with has got to be a challenge right now, right? Getting
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. The key is really just to price your home as well as you can because, again, a lot of the buyers that are coming in, it's really hard for them to get that down payment together. So
Mhm.
it does depend on the market. We certainly have our high-end luxury homes just like you do, and those homes are gonna appeal to a different type of buyer where money is less of an object. But when it is a first-time buyer, money is an object, and you do have to price your home accordingly in order to get the most amount of activity and capture the best pool for buyers.
What do you find? And yeah, and when we talked earlier, you had said that you've been in the business for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And so you've probably also has of a good referral base, I would think. I know that's what drives I've been in this business almost 30 years. So that's what drives a lot of and their kids, and now their grandkids, which is a scary thought. But when you're in that, what's the best marketing that you've found for your area? I always like to ask other people around the country as far as marketing, and because there's so much out there right now. There's so much online. There's so many, buy the leads here, do this. What have you found for your market that's been the most successful for you?
Yeah, I think if I look back at my business over the last few years, it has really been the referral business, but that was the result of hustling really hard the first few years. And when I first started, I really did use Zillow a lot to get leads and like open houses too. Those were really good lead sources. And I still do a ton of open houses, but I
Ooh,
haven't, sorry, Zillow, I haven't really been using them for a little while now. Now I have a good base of clients that through word of mouth and just being part of the community, I tend to get those referrals and meetings with people regardless. I think there's pros and cons to some of the lead websites, and obviously there's a financial contribution from it, but I
right.
really enjoy, and I'm sure you do too, I really enjoy the referral leads because they've already got, some sort of like window into who you are and how you work with people and a little bit more of a trust factor because somebody referred them to you. That's the best type of a lead to have.
I agree. Obviously, I have a a group that I call our Flip Flop Nation, and it's my referral base. And most of them are local because we do 4 events each year. And one of the events is we have a minor league baseball team here, so I rent one of the party decks and invite everybody out. But I do it on my mom's birthday, and so we started. She's now 93. And we started it when she was 89. And so she's still going. Everybody shows up and she loves baseball. But I found that one one get together that I have out of the 4 also helps the referral base
Um,
because we get together, we talk about it, we have a lot of fun, and then they get to enjoy a baseball game. So, and open houses, you mentioned open house. I've had a fantastic success with open houses because I don't know, 80-90% of the agents that I talk to, I'm not going to do an open house. I said, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, I
So
haven't gotten away from them. I do like them a lot. Obviously, it's great to be there to represent the property that you work so hard to get that listing. But even when I don't have an active listing, say it's a quieter time of year, I usually will go seek out open houses if I can get them too, just for the same reason.
it- I've just, it's been where I had one house, I couldn't believe it. I had 26 people show up, and I'm going, what just happened to this?
Yeah.
And it was just within the past couple of months. I said, oh, okay, something's going on here. From the standpoint of, I know we've got some years behind us and stuff, but what would you tell someone who is new or interested in getting into real estate today? Because it is a different world than it was a number of years ago. What would you do that to either help them, encourage them that it does get better?
Oh my
I,
gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
It does get better, but you do have to work hard. I think there's the assumption. I had it
Oh, yeah.
too. When I started, I just assumed that I would be given leads and buyers and sellers to work with. I didn't completely comprehend how much work goes into building yourself as a business. And even to this day, you have to work on your business
Gotta
and
hustle. Gotta
still,
hustle.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to hustle, but also treat it like a bit like consider
It's gotta, yeah.
yourself your own boss, but like I always felt like joke that I'm the mean boss to myself. I will feel guilty if I'm not hustling because then I can only blame myself if I'm not getting business. So you have to have a certain personality, I think, a certain drive to do this
Right.
business. Yeah.
Completely agree with you. A lot of people, they say, oh, I'm going to become a realtor so I can make that $20,000 in one deal. I go, oh, okay, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I don't think the concept, I think it's getting better that people realize you do have to hustle now because of the markets. I love the agents that get involved when the seller, what was it, 3, 4 years ago, where you put a house on the market and there's 25 offers and you're 100,000 above what they're supposed, all craziness. Anybody could sell a house then. But right now, in our current market situation, have you seen it gone to more of a buyer's market in your area? I know it is here as far as.
Yeah. So it's definitely not as much of a seller's market as it had previously been. And even now, I'm seeing it with listings. If they're sitting for a month or so, and some are longer, some are shorter still. So it
Right,
depends. And I know every market is different, but
right,
certainly people sellers especially got so adjusted to the mindset of this house is going to sell in one weekend and I'm not going to have to like even fix it up. And it is a shock, even though we're like yelling at them, like, you got to price it right. It's got to be show ready, all these things. There
right.
was just a while where it was such a heyday that
Yeah.
people don't realize that the train has shifted a little bit. It's on a different set of tracks right now. It technically, I would say we're still in a seller's market if you look at days on market and how fast things are selling and the pricing. But yeah, it's nowhere like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not at all. And I don't think our area really, we didn't do anything like you guys did in California, at least not the panhandle of Florida. It's a very different part. Florida is a very interesting state, like you guys in California is so big.
Yeah.
So there's very different markets from South Florida to up to here to us. If you, what was I just going to think? As now, do you own your own brokerage or are you an agent? You own
I'm an agent at Compass.
at Compass. Okay.
Yeah.
And so have you ever thought about owning your own brokerage?
No.
You're a wise woman. Okay.
Yeah, I have certainly thought about owning different types of businesses related to real estate, but
Okay.
you're a broker, correct?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
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 Kudos to you. That is not a
Yeah.
responsibility that I want, but I respect it. That's hard work.
Yeah. I'm a smaller brokerage, a little boutique brokerage, but my business model is a little bit different. I went wide versus
Mhm.
depth with the sales brokerage because I also have a property management business and I also are brokerage and Airbnb business and an investment and then a rehab construction. So I went wide,
Yeah.
basically trying to, if one thing's not bringing in money, something else will. So it's having that along. But I like the smaller part of it as far as teams, and we just work all as one team versus having a lot of multiple teams in a brokerage. Do you work as a team or do you work just by yourself as a solo agent?
I've primarily been a solo agent. I do have one person that we are technically a team. However, it's more so of a solo basis, I would
Right.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll grow that a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's never off the table, but you have to work really hard at that too. And I just get so sucked into the deal cycle that I don't make the time for it. No.
Oh, there you go. Finding the right chemistry also to just
Yeah.
like in a brokerage, finding the right agents I'm very, after being a college professor, I'm very good at training and teaching people. And then they go to the bigger brokerages and they don't do as well, but they think there's, that, which is okay. I've just learned to step into that role. In your mindset, let's say, because I'm sure you're going to be doing this for quite some time in the future, where do you see the way we're doing real estate now going? it's a big hypothetical question, but where do you see, because it's really changed in the past
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to continue to change. I think that there's probably going to be more, and there has always been probably a little bit more in it for the listing agents than for the buyer's agents. Although, like, you need both in a society to function. However, since the rules have changed a little bit, obviously with regards to commission and
Right.
everything, it is different and we're all adjusting. I don't feel like it's as different as we all thought it was going to be a year ago. We were all like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But it's still adjusting. And I think that, I think ultimately, as long as realtors continue to provide value that is going to support the consumers, I think a lot of consumers are willing to pay for services. We're just in a time where, especially, like I see it a lot with first time buyers. So I work with a fair number of them. They
Mhm.
just, while everything is like all of the information is out there, we can find everything we want. But if you were going to go somewhere to buy something that you didn't really have the expertise on, you would still want a guide. And that's what a good agent does, is they help to guide and support and explain how the whole process works, hold their hand and all of that. Like I wouldn't like self therapy myself. I need to go to a therapist for help. So there's still a need for the professional.
I'm so excited that you said that because I've had people ask me, where do you think it's going? Since I'm at a point where I could retire, choosing not to right now, but it, I still believe that the heart of the whole thing is you are the hub of the transaction, as the realtor. When you explain to that buyer or even the seller that you've got to make sure you got the title company or the lender, you don't have the lender, if you have the home inspector or you have the termite person or whatever else is going on in this transaction, that relationship that we have established over the years with our vendors and people that we work with is of value to you as a buyer or seller. So that's
Yeah.
why you want to work with me. What do you want to ask of me? Is there anything that my market or anything like that? We'll just do back and forth here.
Yeah, no, I'm dying to know more about the vacation rental market in your area because I would love to hear more about like how you got into that and how booming or not booming it is and the seasonality of it.
It is very seasonal. We are a vacation rental destination, and we have been for years. It's on Pensacola Beach. Our main population that attends or comes is, I call it the Southeastern Conference. It's all of the southern states right around us that you can get here from. Atlanta's a 5-hour drive, New Orleans a 3-hour drive. We've got some places that are going to come to us. The drawers are beautiful beaches. Man, during COVID, when Florida was open and the rest of the country was closed, we were slammed. Everything was craziness, which I've been an investor for a while. So I have multiple properties and I have smaller ones. And I like the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, downtown, in and out kind of stuff. It's my little niche. But we're seeing now from a travel perspective, and I'm not quite sure about you too, is that we used to have them everybody booked out 3 months in advance. Now it's 30 days. So I'm looking at my June and July schedule. I'm going, wait a minute, this is usually crammed right now. So I don't know
Mm.
what the travel market, we are down the percentages for February. We were down 18% for B&Bs or short-term rentals. And then we were down 7% for our hotels. So we are seeing something's going on, but I still love the I really like the B&B business. People say, "Are you crazy?" I said, "No, I really like it. I meet so many people, and I probably should tell you this, maybe. It's a great lead generator. I've probably sold 15 houses from people who have come to the area who then decide that they want to either move to the area or invest in the area and condos. And so I use it in each one of my units. They know I'm working with a young man that just came in the other day and he goes, I really want to buy a house. I said, okay, let's figure this out. But being able to also for investors, being able to find them the location. And again, our price range is getting the beach houses out or like our average price range here is 300,000, which even that's high for this area because the people who live here really can't afford that, mainly your
Yeah.
first time home buyers. But because I can help them find the location, then I can either, if they want to rent it long term or short term, if they want to flip it, I've got that wide space to do it with. So That's a little niche for me, but I like I'm not quite big on the long-term rentals, but got a
Yeah.
bunch of those.
So I have a question for you then, because you were just saying that the price point can be a struggle even for the first time buyer. Are you finding that potential first time buyers are opting to continue to rent, but then maybe
Yeah.
buy a B&B, or could they, is that a possibility, or is it more just,
No, yeah, yeah. They're opting to rent quite a bit. We don't
yeah,
have any vacant rentals. And then what we are seeing are the second home buyers, the ones who, the baby boomers, if they've got extra cash, they're paying cash.
yeah,
The people who, we don't have a lot of people come over from California because it's just a different world. It really is. So it's going to be our Eastern Coast or Midwest kind of thing where they're coming into our area.
yeah,
But yeah, the 300 range for here for a local person is still a little high. When I first invested in this 1994, I was able to get, and I still own them. I was able to get two duplexes and a triplex for $62,000. I mean, I know that's not going to happen these days anymore. But I converted them from long term into short terms or overlooking the water. I just got a good deal. But I love the investor part of it too.
yeah,
So I want to be able to help that person, not only as a realtor. I was very fortunate when I first got to town to find a realtor who was an investor, and she helped me
yeah,
to, and me and my brother bought 12 properties in 3 months. Do not do that. Okay, that is ridiculous.
a lot.
That was a lot. I was a full-time professor and he lived up in DC. And so it's like, you got me doing all this stuff. It's crazy. But it has created, and from a wealth standpoint, real estate's still there of
Yeah.
creating wealth as from a younger person. And I'm dealing with some younger people right now, but it's really hard to get into it. I'm sure for how do your people even, they probably don't have a much, what is that price point for investing over there? Wow.
So there are still deals. I feel like, because I get blown up with messages from investors daily that are still looking for deals, which I always think is a good sign of their hope in the market. Because why would they be buying up investments if they didn't think they could resell them? We
Right,
have a
right,
lot more of the fix and flip type of investments, but in our market, people will pay dramatically different. I'm curious if it's the same for you. They'll pay dramatically more for a house that's turnkey, remodeled, nice and shiny, versus
right.
one that's just simple. Like it doesn't have to be falling apart, but they don't feel like they have the means at
Right.
whatever price to make it pretty. So they'd rather pay a lot more and finance it than put the money in to fix it up themselves. Like today's buyer over here, they're working a lot to make their mortgage, and
Right.
everything's expensive and they don't know how to do anything, let alone change a light bulb. So they're certainly not going to be like remodeling.
Yeah.
And then contractors, the good ones, are all booked out and expensive anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a huge markup on a property that's remodeled. It's dramatic. So there is there are good investment opportunities out there, especially when a property hasn't been touched in a while or the seller's in a difficult situation. And those are the ones a lot of the investors are going after right now.
Yeah. Are you seeing any type of short sale foreclosure kind of markets coming up at all with people? You're not seeing that at
Not in
all?
our market. The equity positions are
No.
just really too high. And I guess that's a benefit of COVID,
Yeah,
right? Everything went up a lot.
that's true.
And yeah, it is. I certainly don't want to see people losing their homes. I've seen a couple
Oh,
of people
no.
go into default, but for the most part, yeah, like they can still sell and not have to deal with all of that stress.
Yeah. I haven't seen much either. Again, I will say I've had two houses that we've had, they are going to lose money because they bought it at the height of the market just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then and they've got to sell for some reason. And I said, well, you've got to get over it. I said, I can't help you. And so make it, how, it's another one of those questions. When you have a seller who is being unrealistic with pricing,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you go through with a seller to just say, hey, what can we do with this? What are some of the things that you present to your seller that way?
First and foremost, I typically do try to give them a little bit of time to feel out the market if they feel that they need to test a certain price, and
Mhm.
we'll do as much as we possibly can to tweak the house or the marketing or whatnot to try to get them that price. But the market does speak after a certain amount of time. So
Absolutely.
typically I say 30 days is a pretty telling point. If you're not getting the offers, if you're not getting the showings in the spring market, you should have
Good.
in the
Yeah.
current time, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
20 years ago, maybe it was a different story, but 30 days is plenty. You need to make an adjustment. And we need to look at what the most recent data is showing us, because last summer, even prices could have been higher, just depending on different market conditions. We don't know when
Mhm.
they're going to change again to the point where buyers are going to catch up with what your expectation is as a seller. And
I love
so,
that. Your expectations as a seller. I love that right there.
yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say metrics, numbers are really important. And trying to get that across to sometimes sellers are just like, ugh.
But I think sometimes sellers don't completely understand what the market is looking for. Like
Right.
their home, for example, somebody might have remodeled their home lovingly, beautifully 10 years ago, put like their life savings into it. The fact of the matter is, a 10-year-old remodel done to your specifications may not have any value to somebody like that is looking for something fresh, modern, different style. It's just the case with, you probably see this a lot. A seller might go in and put new carpet and be like, I just spent all this money on new carpet. And the buyer's thinking, I don't care about new carpet. I'm going to want to rip this out and put in X, Y, or Z. So it
Right,
has
right, right.
no value.
Oh no, I agree. Trying to talk people into different things and stuff. And then, yeah, or currently I've had a house who a California person bought it 4 years ago, paid top dollar for it 4 years ago, and never came to live in it. It's a 3,300 square foot house, pool, nice house, sitting there vacant for 4 years. So he did have it on market 2 years with somebody else. Couldn't sell, it was way overpriced. He was a referral. I said, okay, you feel obligated when you get that referral. And so I said, I finally came to him. I said, it's been on the market for 5 months and we have dropped the price drop. I said, if you would have started where I advised him to, oh no, that's too low. But he's thinking California price, not
Yeah.
Pensacola price. And so
Yeah.
I finally just this week, he said, okay, I'm done. Sell the house. As soon as we got the price where it should have been, multiple offers, under contract, and he goes, I can't believe it. I said, I told you 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's hard because I know sometimes sellers will, obviously, every dollar is, they feel like they're losing it if they don't
Right.
sell it for the price they wanted. But if that's not the price they were ever going to get, they're
Yeah,
not losing
yeah,
it, but it's
yeah.
really hard to see it that way.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to thank you. I know we're just kind of chatting. That's what this is about. Sip, sell, and repeat, and share a variety of ideas just with each other and also with us, hopefully the other ladies that will be listening to us and get some kind of information. Your last kind of tidbit of information that we can get from you today. What can we do, Holly? What do you want to share with the people out there, the gals?
So I just think I would love to share that I've been working really hard on, and I know this is something you do as well, but just positioning myself as a local resource and kind of a cheerleader of the community that I serve, just to be of more value to my clients, because they're not all going to be buying and selling today, tomorrow, next year. It could be 5, 10 years before they need me again if they're not an investor. So just to be that person that they think of, will have the information for them or have the hot tips for them, just trying to position myself that way. So I've been doing some hosting of a local show, trying to get that information out there and using it as just a way to bridge the gap when we're not working on buying and selling together, but we're working on just building the community up together.
Yeah, I like the podcast idea. The idea is that because you've come from that production TV background
Yeah.
and being able to get the word out there and know like favorite places to eat in your
Yeah.
community or kind of what you're doing and going around and sharing that information. I get asked all the time, where would you go here? I said, good thing I eat out a lot so that I know places to go. But this has been a pleasure. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to get this up and going. And hopefully the ladies that also come on board are going to hopefully get a little nugget from us as to this and have a great time in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me. And it was a pleasure to learn more about your market too.
Oh, wait, you do have a website. What's your website?
Oh, my website is just realtorhollymcdonald.com.
That's an easy one. Is there anything else, Instagram, Facebook, anything else that we can share with our
Yeah,
future potential real estate agents and even
thank
buyers and
you.
sellers?
My Instagram is Realtor Holly McDonald too, so really easy. And
Right?
I put out a ton of content there. So please feel free to subscribe, share all of the things.
Okay. Instagram, right? Or is it
Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram? Everybody's going to Instagram. I'm behind the scenes here. I have an assistant that does all that stuff. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, you let the person do that out there. But it's been a pleasure, and hopefully, maybe sometime you can get over here to Pensacola and see our beautiful beaches. And I haven't gone over there. I have some friends in Sacramento over there that I visit, but hopefully, we may be able to meet up at some meeting or something too in the future.
Yeah, I'll definitely hit you up for an Airbnb when I come to your part of the
There you
woods.
go. I have a lot of them. I specialize in historical homes too, which I'm sitting in one right now. So they're pretty nice. Anyways, I'm gonna say goodbye right now.
That's a wrap on this episode of Sip, Sell, Repeat. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another powerhouse woman in real estate. Got a topic you want me to cover? Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep sipping, keep selling, and keep repeating that cycle of success. Cheers to you and your next big deal.